Mr. Secretary, help me, with your experience and wisdom with this very troubling two-word phrase that
actionable intelligence.
Actionable intelligence. It seems to me that actionable intelligence with respect to going after Osama bin Laden after 1988 must have been based on the proposition that almost the sole goal is getting, capturing, or killing Osama bin Laden. And that what a lack of actionable intelligence meant was either, one, you didn't have a 90% chance of finding him where whatever intelligence you had said he would be, or two, if you could, you were going to kill 300 or 400 other people while you were doing it, that the collateral damage would be too great to run the risk. But actionable intelligence on August 20th, after the embassy bombings, it seems to me must have been softer than that. And actionable intelligence must have been, well, we know there's a camp there, and we're pretty sure there are going to be some bad guys there, and besides, the blowing up those two things was so bad we got to do something. Tell me if that's correct. But most of all, tell me what, in general terms, for the future, actionable intelligence means. How much of it is the goal? How much of it is your certainty that you can attain that goal? And how much of it is just related to the fact that under some circumstances you're going to have to do something even though you aren't certain that you'll be a success?
Senator Gorton, let me give you a real case involving actionable intelligence. The so-called pharmaceutical plant in Sudan. And I want to use that as an example because there we were given information that bin Laden, following the bombings of the embassies in East Africa, was seeking to get his hands on chemical and biological weapons to inflict kill as many people as he could. We were real concerned about that. I was very concerned about that. Intelligence started to come in about this particular plant. They had been gathering information on it, and I think I point this out in my written testimony, but frankly, I apologize for not getting it to you much sooner. I was still working on it as of yesterday, last night. But to give you an example, this particular facility, according to the intelligence we had at that time, had been constructed under extraordinary security circumstances, even with some surface-to-air missile capability or defense capabilities. That the plant itself had been constructed under these security measures, that the plant had been funded in part by the so-called military-industrial corporation, that bin Laden had been living there, that he had in fact money that he had put into this military-industrial corporation, that the owner of the plant had traveled to Baghdad to meet with the father of the VX program, and that the CIA had found traces of EMTA nearby the facility itself. According to all the intelligence, there was no other known use for EMTA at that time other than as a precursor to VX. Under those circumstances, I said, that's actionable enough for me, that plant could in fact be producing not baby aspirin or some other pharmaceutical for the benefit of the people, but it was enough for me to say we should take it out, and I recommended that. Now, I was criticized for that, saying you didn't have enough. And I put myself in the position of coming before you and having someone like you say to me, let me get this straight, Mr. Secretary. We've just had a chemical weapons attack upon our cities or our troops, and we've lost several hundred or several thousand. And this is the information which you had at your fingertips. You had a plant that was built under the following circumstances. You had a manager that went to Baghdad. You had Osama bin Laden, who had funded at least the corporation. And you had traces of EMTA, and you did what? You did nothing? Is that a responsible activity on the part of the Secretary of Defense? And the answer is pretty clear. So I was satisfied, even though that still is pointed as a mistake, that it was the right thing to do then. I believe I would do it again. based on that kind of intelligence. So that was an example of actionable intelligence. When it comes to other circumstances, say you have to weigh it, each and every case. You say, do you take action just for the sake of taking, saying do something? I think we have a greater responsibility. Before I decide or make a recommendation to the President of the United States to launch a missile that's going to kill a lot of people, I want to make sure as much as I can, it's not out of passion, but out of as much reasoned analysis as I can make to say, this is a target that poses a threat to us, Mr. President, and yes, there are risks that you're going to kill some innocent people, but we have an obligation to take it out. It's individual analysis. I can't give you specifics on it. I gave you an example of where I thought it was the right thing.